Hi gorgeous! Happy Drugstore December to you! If you missed my first announcement talking about Drugstore December, I am doing a drugstore or affordable themed video every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the whole month of December, so please subscribe so you'll always be notified of new videos just like this one. Today I'm sharing my top 10 eyeshadow palettes from the drugstore that are all under $10. And they're really, really good too. By the way, some of these you can find in drugstores, but for those that you can't, that you order online only, I will have those linked for you below. The very first palette I want to share with you is a very recent discovery for me. This is the BUIS Berries palette. I recently compared this one to the Anastasia Modern Renaissance. Dead on dupe. It is missing 2 shades from the Modern Renaissance palette, but despite that, pigmentation is excellent with this palette. The color range is beautiful and you're not having to spend a buttload of money like you would if you were buying the Modern Renaissance palette. And I actually like the BUIS version a little more than my Modern Renaissance palette, if I'm going to be honest. The colors I feel are stronger with this version and they don't muddy by the end of the day. It's great. If you've been wondering about this brand, wonderful. I was so impressed with the BUIS brand that I went back and got another palette. So this one is another excellent one that I have to recommend to you. This is their Peach palette. I originally thought it was going to be a dupe for something from the Too Faced line. It's not really. I don't even think this is a dupe for any palette out there. If I'm wrong, please feel free to leave a comment below and let me know what this palette dupes, because I would love to know. By itself though, the color range is fantastic. And just like with the Modern Renaissance palette, if you don't want to shell out 40, 50, 60 bucks for something from the Too Faced collection, you will be more than satisfied with this Peach palette. The pigmentation is gorgeous and it lasts all day too. Another one of my favorites that you can find in Target stores right now, this was a recent addition to Target stores back in November of this year, is from Profusion. This is their Sultry eyeshadow palette. 24 shades in this palette. That is a ridiculous amount of product for what you're spending. Color payoff is excellent. You will not be disappointed in the quality of this palette. It is seriously one of the best that I have ever seen at this price point for the amount of product you get. And look at the size of this thing. It is massive. And if you'd like to see this one in action, I will have the video linked below that I did using this palette, and I did a wear test as part of that video too, so you can see the insane quality that you get with this palette. The new Wet n Wild eyeshadow palettes, I am just going to group all of these together because they are utterly fabulous. And just so you know, I will be doing a full in-depth review with the Wet n Wild eyeshadow palettes coming up as part of Friday's video. I went back and got all of them, so I will be showing you swatches of them and looks using them. But what I will tell you is the pigmentation is absurd with these. The quality does not disappoint. It is just as good as what we've been accustomed to with Wet n Wild's past formula. And out of the 3 palettes that I'm showing you right here, my favorite would have to be the Petalette palette. I'm a sucker for purples, and everyone can wear purples no matter your eye color or complexion. So if you're looking for a new palette to try, you have to get this one. It is fabulous. Now over this past year, I did a video on Burlington Coat Factory makeup, which was quite interesting. And I happened to find some really excellent eyeshadow palettes while I was there from the brand Bebe. And these 2 right here are utterly, completely, wonderfully fabulous. How many adjectives did I fit into that sentence? I like the design of this one, especially with the way they did the circles. It has a row of purples that is beautiful on the eyes. And this one right here was one that I compared to the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. If you missed that video, I'll have it linked for you below. It is not a dupe for the Kat Von D palette, but in its own right, it is amazing. It's a great neutral palette to have if you don't want to spend the high-end prices. So if you're in Burlington Coat Factory and you see the Bebe eyeshadow palettes, I don't care what they look like, get them, because based off of these two, I would not hesitate to buy from this brand again in the future. LA Colors came out with some new eyeshadows for the holidays this year. Their Eye Struck Naked palette was one that really made me swoon. They also have a smoky version of this one that is just as good. There's a mixture of warm and cool shades in here in matte and shimmer finishes. Beautiful collection of eyeshadows, and it's one of those neutral palettes that is a must-have if you don't already have a really great one in your collection. The next palette is one you've heard me talk about many times over. I'm going to talk about it one more time. That is the Makeup Revolution Iconic 3 palette. This is a dupe for the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. And quite honestly, I love it even more than my Urban Decay palette, and I use it far more often too. Reason being is the color payoff is a lot better in here than Urban Decay's version. And as an example, the eyeshadow Dust in the Urban Decay palette isn't anywhere near as strong as the Makeup Revolution version. I can't get it to show up on my eyes, but this one, the tiniest amount on your brush and boom, you got color. Some other really great eyeshadow palettes I have to share with you are from e.l.f.'s line, and I specifically would recommend checking out their Prism eyeshadow palettes. These are some of the best eyeshadows that I own from the e.l.f. brand. Some of them can be hit or a miss, but I've not been disappointed in any of the Prism palettes that I have tried from their line. And they make a variety of different colors too, to suit everyone's tastes, complexions, eye colors. Great all the way around. This next eyeshadow palette is one that I bought very recently. Hadn't heard of the brand before, but a lot of you educated me on it, so thank you for that. This is the Christian Siriano Smoky Basics palette. At Walgreens, it's $10, and a lot of you were telling me that Christian Siriano was a winner from Project Runway, fashion designer, and the name had sounded familiar to me, but I don't watch Project Runway. I'm sorry, I don't. So I appreciate all of you who told me that. Well, I wasn't really expecting much, to be honest with you, when I first tried this palette, but very happy with it. Strong pigmentation, excellent color payoff, and didn't struggle with getting the eyeshadows on my eyes at all. And they do last all day too. So if you happen to see any of these eyeshadow palettes out there, get them. They are wonderful. The last eyeshadow palette I have to share with you is another one from the Profusion Cosmetics line, and this is their Amber Eyes palette. This is another one that I compared with the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette very recently. It is missing 2 shades to compare with Modern Renaissance, but despite that, the color array is beautiful. The pigmentation is semi-strong. It does take a little bit of layering to get the eyeshadows to show up, but once you work with it, it's beautiful, and the colors do last all day on the eyes. So a little bit of work does pay off in the end. At this price point, it's one of those that it's really hard to say anything bad about because it's excellent quality and you do get a great color selection. I hope you found this video helpful today. Let me know what some of your favorite palettes are under $10. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Please subscribe for more videos this month in Drugstore December, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.